brighten it up just a touch, and I think the color looks good.
Welcome, everyone, to another edition of White Horse Live, a co-production of White Horse Black Mountain and Rad House Studio, coming to you live from a secret location somewhere in the mountains of western North Carolina. This evening is the 29th episode of White Horse Live, hosted as always by Bob Hinkle.
Welcome, everyone.
And tonight we welcome Chuck
Horse
Brodsky
Live,
to White Horse.
co-production of White Horse
Whoops.
Black Mountain
Guess
and
what?
Rad House
I set the
Studio.
sound in the wrong place.
Coming
Give
to
me
you
just a
live
moment,
from a
please.
secret-
There we go. There is no fixed ticket price for this program. Instead, we ask that you pay what you can. Now more than ever, our artists rely on your tips. They can't hear your applause. Your tips are the way to show your appreciation for them. The best way to do that is to go to whitehorselive.tips in your web browser. Not .com, not tips.com, just whitehorselive.tips. And we'll display the tip jar address from time to time during the show, as we are now. Thank you for helping make this series a success. We continue to expand the schedule, and we're grateful for your help in spreading the word. Please keep sharing the event notices, hosting live watch parties, and telling all your friends. We can't do it without you. Now here's your host, Bob Hinkle.
Good evening, everybody. When the song rises up, white horses fill the mountains. When song rises up, then the clouds roll away. If you don't believe that music has a power, just stay right here with us for just about an hour. Well, old Chuck Brodsky, he gonna lift you up. He will loosen up your tightin' and he will fill your cup when the song rises up. White horses will fill the mountains when the song rises up. Then the clouds roll away. Then the clouds roll away. Then the clouds roll away. Glad you're with us. Hope you'll stay with us. I think you will once we get started here. Let me tell you a little bit about Chuck Brodsky, who's singing for us tonight and playing. Chuck is one of our very finest songwriters. He tells a lyrical story like nobody else. Chuck's characters are frequently become so real to me that I expect them to walk on stage at any minute. There are a variety of heroes and misfits and ne'er-do-wells, many of whom are so well drawn that I think once in a while I can actually find them in my own memory as though they were actual and part of my life. Chuck has performed pretty much all over the world. In fact, he just came back from Denmark, I think. Performed 3 times at the National Baseball Hall of Fame, and 22 of his baseball story songs are enshrined there in the Hall of Fame's sound recording library. His compositions have been recorded by many, including Kathy Mattea, the African Children's Choir of Uganda, and David Wilcox. Chuck's songs poke fun at what needs poking and challenges what needs challenging. They are sworn to tell the truth. They reflect humanity back on itself, like the bathroom mirror on the morning after. If there's a power in stories, then Chuck Brodsky is a wizard of the first order. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dogs and cats, guppies and goldfish, and anybody else on the couch there that I forgot, please, a warm, White Horse Live virtual round of applause for the man of this hour, Chuck Brodsky.
Well, he came to our town for maybe an hour. The streets, they got swept and they planted some flowers. Babies he kissed, to the people he waved, and he stopped at a Civil War general's grave, and he struck just the right pose, and he hit just the right chord when he spoke of the family and then of the Lord. He addressed the concerns of the common man. He spoke of the glory of this mighty land. He was just the right color and his smile was fixed, and his wardrobe assembled from a bag full of tricks, and he had gobs of makeup that were caked on his face. Starch in his collar, every hair was in place, and his wife stood beside him and his daughter did too. Behind them the flag with the red, white and blue. Balloons from the rafters, they fell to the floor. Oh, happy days, we're gonna be here once more. He said all the right words, he quoted Bob Dylan songs. He sounded hip even though he quoted them wrong. And his closets were cleaned and his history revised, so his record would be spotless in most people's eyes. And he could sell you a war, he could revoke your rights and still come off as your friend in the camera lights. And he'll run negative ads if he has to win. He'll go back on his word and he will shed his old skin. Well, I was not touched by this guy in the least. He was no savior, I think he was the beast. And I have to admit, they staged a good show. It was all reminiscent of 4 years ago when he came to our town for maybe an hour. The streets, they got swept and they planted some flowers. Babies he kissed, to the people he waved, and he stopped at a Civil War general's grave. And after an hour, they whisked him away. Things went back to normal, but it took 2 or 3 days. The homeless returned to living outside, and the flowers that they planted, they all wilted and died. Yes, it came to our town for maybe an hour. The streets, they got swept and they planted some flowers. I frequently get asked whether I wrote that about a Democrat or a Republican, and of course, the answer is yes. So nice to be back here at the White Horse in Black Mountain. It's one of my favorite venues in the entire world, and it just so happens to be in my backyard, about 10 miles from my house. I'm glad you could join us. It's great to see my old friend Bob. Well, I just did get back from Denmark, and I had the time of my life over there. Have to say, I had 9 concerts, and Denmark is in much better shape these days than we are here, and they were allowed to have gatherings of up to 100 people while I was there, so these were normal shows for real live audiences, and it was just awesome to get back to doing what I do for real people. I miss you guys out there, and I look forward to seeing you again live and in person soon, hopefully. But I had quite a lot of explaining to do when I was in Denmark. Things over here are a little tough for people outside this country to understand, as if it's not tough enough for us here to understand. But what I told everybody is half the people in this country are absolutely crazy, and the other half are out of their minds. Well, half the people are looking to rumble, and the other half are spoiling for a fight. The logic that they're using is all jumbled, but who needs facts when you know you're right? Half the people nowadays are bonkers, and the other half have all gone insane. Everybody everywhere looks angry. They need to blame somebody for their pain. Now half the news you get today is phony, and the other half you get today is fake. But what's real is the independent journalist who gets tortured but refuses to break. Well, half the people have lost their marbles, and the other half have all lost their minds. On top of that, we've become so heartless. Underneath it all, we must have lost our spines. Well, half the people are just plain cuckoo, and the other half are just plain Looney Tunes. Bite your tongue, you can't talk sense to any of them. Well, they hate you when you burst their balloons. Now half the people have gone crazy, and the other half have all gone mad. Well, I could make a fortune selling bridges if I hadn't sold the last one that I had. 'Cause half the people have no idea, and the other half, they haven't got a clue. They'll believe anything anyone will tell them, unless it can be proven to be true. Well, half the people are just plain cuckoo, and the other half are just plain Looney Tunes. Bite your tongue, you can't talk sense to any of them. They hate you when you burst their balloons. Now half the people are talking rubbish, and the other half are all just talking crap. Well, you've got to be careful and remind yourself not to take the bait or step into the trap. 'Cause half the people nowadays are bonkers, and the other half have all gone insane. Everybody everywhere looks angry, and they need to blame somebody for their pain. Half the people are just plain cuckoo, and the other half are just plain Looney Tunes. Bite your tongue, you can't talk sense to any of them. They hate you when you burst their balloons. Well, they hate you when you burst their balloons. So I told him a little bit about that. But you know, it got a little tiresome, to be honest with you. Everywhere I went, people wanted to know what in the world is going on in the United States, and that's a really hard question to answer. But I did tell them that there really only are two types of people that live here in the U.S. Those who are them and those who are us. That's what they tell us anyway. But honestly, we're all just one big us. The name of this song is called Them and Us, and that's a title track from my most recent CD, recorded in Asheville, North Carolina. Them and Us. There's a standoff all across the Great Divide, with friends and family members on both sides. If someone struck a match, it would combust, scorching everyone, both them and us. It's raining dirty words and disrespect. It's not having any positive effect. The bridges have collapsed because of rust. We can't reach each other, them and us. We've got our earplugs in and our blinders on, and we wonder, where have all the flowers gone? Where once there was a garden, cool and lush. All that's left here now is them and us. And I've never felt so lonely in this world as I do when all those banners are unfurled, and the airwaves are just spewing all that stuff about us and them. Look what it's done to us. Our differences are few and overblown, and it sometimes leads to punches being thrown. Well, there seems to be a few things to discuss, but you can't say a word to them or us. We write them off because of how they vote, and we write them off because they came on a boat. We turn our backs with contempt and with disgust at every one of them who isn't us. We identify them by the clothes they wear. We identify them by their skin and hair. And we look for any reason not to trust whatever about them is not like us. And I've never felt so lonely in this world as I do when all those banners are unfurled, and the airwaves are just spewing all that stuff about us and them. Look what it's done to us. Thoughtful, decent people turning mean. If only all our gods could intervene. There must be some controls they could adjust. Maybe they could make us whole, them and us. And I've never felt so lonely in this world as I do when all those banners are unfurled and the airwaves are just spewing all that stuff about us and them. Look what it's done to us. There's a standoff all across the Great Divide, with friends and family members on both sides. Well, it's gotten to where it's absolutely impossible to have a conversation with anybody anymore who doesn't see things exactly like you do, right? So I have tried all sorts of approaches, ways to persuade people to change their minds, I suppose, and nothing has ever worked. I just have been utterly disappointed with every approach I have taken. And so I sat down one day and I tried to come up with a new way, and I think I have finally got it sorted out. I'm pretty sure this is going to work. After 3 or 4 tries, I poked out his eyes. That's how I got him to see. To get him to hear, I screamed in his ear. I gave him the 3rd degree. I sharply berated him. I told him I hated him. I wasn't very kind. I shouted and cussed until I won his trust. Well, that's how I changed his mind. I shunned him, ignored him. I wouldn't look toward him. I only would give him my back. I accused him of lies. I would not compromise. I erased him after the fact. I was abrupt. I would often interrupt. We were volatile when combined. And in stating my case, I blew up in his face. And that's how I changed his mind. That's how I changed his mind. That's how I changed his mind. I blamed him, shamed him, insulted and inflamed him. That's how I changed his mind. Now this man was an ass. I was gonna let him pass, let him take a wide berth of me. But I was right and he was wrong, like I was telling him all along, trying to just get him to see. But he's a this and I'm a that, so we couldn't have a chat of the friendly and civilized kind. Round after round, I just ground him down. Well, that's how I changed his mind. That's how I changed his mind. That's how I changed his mind. I blamed him, shamed him, insulted and inflamed him. That's how I changed his mind. I stomped on his toes and I punched him in the nose. I was using irony. So sure of the truth, I knocked out his tooth and I kicked him twice in the knee. I won over his heart with a poisonous dart, and you should have seen me unwind, being overly cruel and with ridicule. Oh, that's how I changed his mind. That's how I changed his mind. That's how I changed his mind. Blamed him, shamed him, insulted and inflamed him. That's how I changed his mind. So I called him a fool, challenged him to a duel. I threw my white glove in his face. 20 paces and I shot, and I must have hit the spot. Anyway, that's how I pleaded my case. Well, I won in the end, after making him bend. And after all, the papers were signed. In the end, I won. Yeah, that's how it was done. Oh, that's how I changed his mind. That's how I changed his mind. That's how I changed his mind. I blamed him, shamed him, insulted and inflamed him. That's how I changed his mind. Yeah, I blamed him, shamed him, I might have even maimed him. That's how I changed his mind. 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 Well, it's time for a baseball song. This is a song about the very first game Jackie Robinson ever played with white ball players. He was playing for the Brooklyn Dodgers farm club, the Montreal Royals, his very first game against the New Jersey Giants. Jackie Robinson went 4 for 5. One of his hits was a home run. And as he rounded third base and headed for home plate, the very next batter to follow Jackie was a man by the name of George Shotgun Shuba. And instead of waiting in the on-deck circle, he stood at home plate waiting for Jackie Robinson with his hand out to shake Jackie Robinson's hand. He had a big smile on his face. And this moment was captured by a photographer, and that photograph became a very iconic photograph. And when George Shotgun Shuba passed away about 6 years ago, maybe 7 years ago, I saw the photograph for the first time, and it was so powerful, it moved me to write this song called The Handshake. Both the ump and the catcher had their hands on their hips. It was only a handshake. It was a coming to grips. The sun was casting long shadows as he touched every base. And as he rounded the third one, the sun lit up his face. It was only a handshake. Well, maybe not quite. It was captured on camera in black and white. The two of them smiling as he touches the plate, as he crosses the line, when he knows that he's safe. It was only a handshake on opening day. No one knew what would happen if the fella could play. It was only a handshake, but it was the first. And of course there were others who stood up and cursed. It was only a handshake on a minor league field. And it wasn't till later it became a big deal. It's just something that happened. It was nothing he'd planned. The guy hit a homer, So he stuck out his hand. It was only a handshake, a bond between men, teammate to teammate. That's all it was then. He stood there to greet him. He could have waited on deck. It was only a handshake, but he showed him respect. It was only a handshake. 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 You know, I mentioned my Denmark tour. It was great to get to sing this next song there, because it's about something very special that the Danish people did during World War II. Word got out that somehow got out amongst a government agent, I suppose I'll call him. I don't really know what his role was, but somebody in the government found out that the Nazis would be coming with a couple of huge passenger ships to Copenhagen Harbor, and that on the high holidays they would round up all of the Jews and deport them to concentration camps. But because this person within the government was able to get the word out, it spread like wildfire. And without any organization or any kind of chain of command, the Danish people took it upon themselves to go door to door and collect all of their Jewish neighbors and take them to safe places. And when boats could be arranged to take them across Öresund Sound, the 10 or so miles to Sweden, they did this in the middle of the night. Sweden was willing to accept all of the Danish Jews until the end of the war. And so, using whatever boats they could possibly get their hands on, they ferried all of the Jewish people and saved 7,000 people. And the only Jewish people in all of Denmark that were not saved were the ones that refused to believe that the Nazis were coming and did not want to leave. So I sang this song every night on my Denmark tour. In fact, I opened every show with it, and I call it a love song to Denmark. The gardens were tended, the animals fed, even the blankets were tucked in the beds. Nothing was broken, the walkways were swept, everything looked like it did when they left. The government shut down. They firmly refused to carry out the order to round up the Jews. A Dane was a Dane, and the law was the law. There'd be no Jewish question in Denmark at all. Sweden was willing to take them all in till it was safe to go back home again. From the time word of the plan was leaked, they only would have until the end of the week. No organization, no chain of command. It was just everybody lending a hand. Schools were closed and work shut down, while the people were moved to little harbor towns. They came for the ones who had already gone, 2 passenger ships that they didn't get on. After spending a week in the harbor waiting, they steamed away from Copenhagen. People were hidden in hospital beds with bandages wrapped around their faces and heads. Some were hidden in homes or in schools or in backyard sheds with the garden tools. Rowboats, fishing boats, dinghies, and yachts took them the 9 or 10 miles across. The German patrols, they hadn't a clue. Right under their noses and back again too. They came for the ones who had already gone. 2 passenger ships that they didn't get on. After spending a week in the harbor waiting, they steamed away from Copenhagen. The crossings were made under cover of night, aiming for those faraway lights. Babies were drugged to keep them asleep. Nobody spoke and nobody breathed. 7,000 Danish people were saved, thanks to their neighbors, decent and brave. And when they got home, the walkways were swept and everything looked like it did when they left. They came for the ones who had already gone. 2 passenger ships that they didn't get on. After spending a week in the harbor waiting, they steamed away from Copenhagen.
It was recently brought to my attention that I have a habit at the end of songs of shaking my guitar. I never knew I did that until I started live streaming and somebody watching pointed that out. So let me explain the reason behind it. It's to get those last few notes out, because if they get stuck in there, they'll get very stale and they'll take on a stink. And you don't want to be around a guitar that has stale notes stuck in it. So that's why I'm shaking them out. Well, this song here has a little interesting story that came about after I recorded it. And I was heading down to Texas to play some shows, and had a show in Wimberley, Texas. And they asked me if I would please send a copy of this CD, the CD with the song on it, Them and Us, my newest one. And the radio station had agreed to play some songs to help promote the show. And there's a person at the station who has a habit. He's the person who listens to all incoming new CDs, and he has a habit of always playing the first and the third tracks. And this song, I think, is track number 3 on Them and Us. And he heard this song, and he assumed it was autobiographical. And because of that, he was very upset. And he decided that nothing from this album, not just this one song, but nothing from the entire album was allowed to be played on their station. Well, I'm sure that you listening today could not possibly make that same mistake and think that this song is autobiographical. You're too smart for that. And besides, I just told you, but you're too smart for that anyway.
Me and my supremacist friends are only doing what God intends. Burning crosses, burning mosques, vandalizing synagogues. We're the patriotic sons with our semi-automatic guns, prepping for a civil war to make things like they was before. Me and my supremacist clan, this is how we take our stand underneath a Nazi flag, marching right up the main drag, past the church, past the school, where they teach the golden rule, where the children play outside. When we go by, they run and hide. The secret handshake makes you kin. At the door, it gets you in. It's how we tell a friend from foe. It's something only we would know. Supremacist bud, stir each other's thirst for blood, getting drunker by the hour, mixing things that all taste sour, till we can't control the rage. Any excuse to open the cage, cannot stay inside the house, the beast is foaming at the mouth. Me and my supremacist dad one time beat a foreigner bad. He was somewhere he shouldn't have been. He shouldn't have been with his color skin. And after Daddy kicked his ass and left him lying in the grass, I got some of my own licks in. He was somewhere he shouldn't have been. The secret handshake makes you kin. At the door it gets you in. It's how we tell a friend from foe. It's something only we would know. My 12-year-old son one time made a foreigner run, chased him down a dead-end street until the circle was complete. There was nowhere that he could run, but I couldn't do what my daddy done, not in front of my own son. Couldn't do what daddy done. The secret handshake makes you kin. At the door it gets you in. It's how we tell a friend from foe. It's something only we would know. The secret handshake makes you kin. At the door it gets you in. It's how we tell a friend from foe. It's something only we would know.
Well, there's a couple of things I just want to mention briefly. If you would like to contribute tonight, the proceeds are being split between myself and the wonderful technical crew that we have working the show tonight, and also the White Horse here in Black Mountain, North Carolina. And it's very, very important to support the venues too, not just the musicians. We need these venues to still be here when all is said and done. And so whatever you're inclined to give is absolutely appreciated by all of us. I also want to mention that I have a Patreon account, Patreon page, and that's a way of supporting me on a monthly basis. You can choose any amount that you would like to support me with, even as low as $1 a month, and that will give you equal access to all of the things that I post on my Patreon site. Things like brand new songs that I'll debut there a couple or a few weeks before anyone else gets to hear them. Just recently, when I was in Denmark, I made several video postcards just for my patrons every day that I could. Things like that. So check out my page if you can. It's I believe it's patreon.com/Chuck Brodsky, but I think the URLs will be flashed on the screen as well. And if you're interested in picking up my recordings, CDs can be bought at chuckbrodsky.com. And if you're interested in digital downloads, you can go to bandcamp.com and look for me, search for me, because I don't remember the URL off the top of my head. They may very well post that on the screen for you. But all of my digital downloads are available on a pay-what-you-will basis. So I'm very pleased that you could join us for this evening's show.
Not many people saw it, how they siphoned off the riches, how they covered for each other, and they scratched each other's itches, how they took all they could carry, as much as they desired. Not a single shot was fired, not a single shot. They auctioned off the sunsets, the beaches and the waves, the mountain tops and forests. What sweetheart deals they gave. To themselves and all their buddies went the jewels of the empire. Not a single shot was fired, not a single shot. They owned the TV stations, the radio and print. They controlled what people knew and what the people didn't. They packed the boards and ministries, turned up the amplifier. Not a single shot was fired, not a single shot. They preyed on people's goodness, upon their trusting hearts. They dismantled progress and then sold it off for parts. They spoke the kind of double talk Goebbels would have admired. Not a single shot was fired, not a single shot. They demonized whole races and they made the people scared. And all the while from trumpets patriotic music blared. Oh, it could never happen here, says the Holocaust denier. Not a single shot was fired, not a single shot. Old Glory, she still flies above the courthouse and the dome. The Super Bowl still happens just like it did in Rome. Their ads appear on everything like the flags of an occupier. Not a single shot was fired, not a single shot. Well, they sometimes mention Jesus, sometimes Thomas Paine. This is the age of treason and they toast it with champagne. But behind the Iron Curtain, it's all been secretly rewired. Not a single shot was fired, not a single shot. Not many people saw it, and the rest they won't believe. They look at you like you're crazy, like it's you who's been deceived. And they're bullying the angels for not singing with the choir. Not a single shot was fired, not a single shot was fired, not a single shot was fired, not a single shot.
So here's an older song that I haven't really been playing much of in recent years, but I think it's found new life, and I want to sing it now.
For the kindness of strangers, I'll often give thanks. Some have fed me and clothed me, some have filled up my tanks. Some have taken me inside their humble abodes, giving me sanctuary on this goddamn blessed road. Well, it all fit in a backpack with a sturdy metal frame, and my map had routes to everywhere, so I underlined some names. I could have walked to China, I had that lighter load. Nearly weightless when I set out on this goddamn blessed road. And I banded with some gypsies, and they had a little camp, and a garbage fire to keep warm by, from the cold and from the damp. Taught me about honor, they handed down the code, which I have always tried to live by on this goddamn blessed road. Picture was in black and white until color came one day, and then almost as if right before my eyes, the truth, it became gray, and answers became questions, and I put my faith in the unknown. I've trusted it to lead me on this goddamn blessed road. A lot of good books have been written, you can read every one. You can take notes and recite quotes as proof you got your reading done. So many interpretations of the words of the ultimate poet, who inspires me to write my own on this goddamn blessed road. Magic happens sometimes, things will just appear. Some gone in an instant, but their memories are dear. And my heart, it gets heavy, my legs, they get bold, hauling all my riches away down this goddamn blessed road. Billboards tell you where to go, and others tell you what to do. So you're left with having to decide for yourself what might be right or wrong for you. My one and only question is how to know, how to know. From all the answers people have for you, it on this goddamn blessed road.
So I have a few more songs here, 3 more songs for you. And once again, if you're interested in tipping tonight, it's whitehorselive.tips, not .com, just whitehorselive.tips. And like I mentioned, the proceeds will be split between me and the venue and the technical crew. And we hope you'll support us. And we hope you're enjoying the concert. Here's a brand new song I haven't recorded yet.
Things you think you know, they aren't really so, but you insist they're true. A lot of people do. It would shock you if you knew. You'd be angry too, but that takes letting go of the things you think you know. Things you think you know, you believe them even though they can be disproved. You're not even moved. It's not like you believe. You can't even conceive of that first domino. The things you think you know. Well, that's what you don't know. The things you think you do. You go on and blow till you're good and blue. I'll tell you even though there's no convincing you. That's what you don't know, the things you think you do. Yeah, that's what you don't know, the things you think you do. The things you think you know were like that long ago, but not so much today. You really have to go back a ways to when there wasn't any gray, and you only had to hope and pray, maintain the status quo. Things you think you know. The things you think you know. Excuse me, but hello, who's telling you these things? Who's pulling the strings? But who knows more than you? None of the experts do. Anyway, there you go. The things you think you know. That's what you don't know, the things you think you do. You go on and blow till you're good and blue. I'll tell you even though there's no convincing you. But that's what you don't know, the things you think you do. Yeah, that's what you don't know, the things you think you do. The things you think you know. That warm and cozy glow, it's mostly good for show. Gives you comfort though. You keep stoking the fire to get it going higher. You won't let it lie low. The things you think you know. Well, that's what you don't know. The things you think you do. You go on and blow till you're good and blue. I'll tell you even though there's no convincing you. But that's what you don't know, the things you think you do. Yeah, that's what you don't know, the things you think you do. That's what you don't know, the things you think you do. That's what you don't know, the things you think you do.
So I have a lot of friends out there I've made through Facebook, and a lot of friends I've made in real life that have become reconnected with me through Facebook. It's kind of a mixed bag, I suppose. You have to take the good with the bad, But I have come to really appreciate using Facebook. I once upon a time wanted nothing to do with it, and had a wife at the time who asked me if I'd like her to set me up a Facebook page. And I said, thank you, but no, I'm really not interested. This was a good 10 years ago, and she went ahead and anyway set me up a personal page and a music page. And I just took that login information and I filed it away somewhere. And then I did a show with John McCutcheon in Atlanta. We sometimes do an all baseball song show. And John was giving me one of these for not being on social media as an independent musician. And not too many people get away with giving me one of these, but John McCutcheon can. I admire him greatly. And so I figured if John said I need to be on Facebook, I need to be on Facebook. So I got back from Atlanta and I found that login information. I pulled up my Facebook page and I already had a friend, my ex-wife, when she set up my page. Well, I dove headfirst in, and within a week I had 2,000 friends. And I'm not making this up. I'm not exaggerating. I had 2,000 friends after 1 week on Facebook. That's where the title of this song comes from. Of course, Facebook limits you to 5,000 friends. And I'm usually right around 5,000. But of course, there are people that will unfriend me from time to time. And they might not like my politics, or they who knows what. So if you should try to become Facebook friends with me and you're told, Facebook tells you that I can't take on any more friends, just try the next day or the day after and probably a spot will open up. This is called 2,000 Friends.
Sometimes I sit here in the dark, just the light of the screen. Maybe I don't get dressed, have a little more caffeine. Sometimes I stay up late, time goes by, I say what's on my mind, and I hope for a reply. I never stay away long, start missing all my friends. I post my photographs, I use my very best lens. Sometimes the comments never come, sometimes I sit and I wait. Oh, won't you please like me? Is there someone who can relate? Nobody ever writes me letters, I don't know why I have a phone. I got a couple thousand friends now, I don't feel so alone. Sometimes I drop them a line, sometimes they think of me too. They want to know if I'm okay in just a sentence or two. And I know who cooked Italian, I know who got new shoes, I know who had to pull a tranny, who's away on a cruise. I know who got that dreaded letter, I know who just switched shampoos, I know who's using smiley faces, I know who's got the blues. I know who likes what, know who's friends with who. I know what everybody just did, what they're planning to do. I know who's having a birthday, I know who just lost their job. I know it rained in Sarasota for a little while and then it stopped. Found a lot of old classmates, people I once knew. Everybody went their own ways, as people these days will do. Some of them got wealthy, and some are living hand to mouth. Some of them are up north still, some have settled in the south. All of my old flames got married, some they got divorced, and of the ones who have fallen, never got back on the horse. And the ones who did have children, none of them look like me. I hope that everybody's happy. I hope that everybody's free. I know who likes what. I know who's friends with who. I know what everybody just did, what they're planning to do. I know who just lost their father and who's decided to adopt. I know it rained in Sarasota for a little while and then it stopped. Prayers, my friend in Uganda, my friends in Israel and Iran, Nova Scotia, Ireland and Denmark, Lithuania and Japan. Well, I hope someday to meet them, their place or mine. But for now it makes me happy when I see them here online. And I know who got a puppy, I know whose rose bushes died, and the ones who own ponies, sometimes I tell them I can ride. You know, I flirted with some women. Well, these days, how could you tell? Some of them could have been men. And then there was the time when Elvis asked if he could be my friend. I know who likes what. I know who's friends with who. I know what everybody just did, what they're planning to do. I know who's fighting cancer. Sometimes I just start to sob. I know it rains in Sarasota for a little while and then it stops. I know it rains in Sarasota for a little while and then it stops. I know it rains in Sarasota a little while and then it stops.
So this is the time I have to leave the stage, and it called me back for the encore, so here I am. We have to take matters into our own hands these days, since you, the audience, are not present. In this room anyway. But we know you're out there, and we're grateful for that. I'll be resuming my weekly live streams very soon, as soon as I decide on what day of the week. Because Sundays now have football games happening. So sometime in the next week, I hope to live stream again, and you can find out by checking my Facebook page. I just want to mention again, if you're interested in tipping us tonight, it's whitehorselive.tips. And if you're interested in picking up CDs, you can get them from chuckbrodsky.com. If you're interested in digital downloads of my music, you can get them on a pay-what-you-want basis at bandcamp.com. And if you're not working these days, like me, and you don't have much money to spend, I still want you to have my music. So please help yourself. Go to bandcamp.com. Do not feel guilty about entering zero. That's what you have to enter. If you can't afford to pay anything, that's fine. Download all of it and just pay it forward or whatever. You can make it up to me or somebody else one day when you're in a better situation. But don't let not having money right now keep you from being able to enjoy my music, at least. I've met a lot of angels along the way, but none more so than my parents, so I like this song to be for them. Thank you for tuning in.
Well, I hope I see you later. time for me to go. That's my ride, just pulled over. And it sure was good to know you. So go answer your calling. Go and fill somebody's cup. And if you see an angel falling, why don't you stop and help them up? We are each other's angels, and we meet when it is time. We keep each other going, and we show each other signs. Sometimes you stumble, and sometimes you just lie down. Sometimes you'll get lonely with all these people around. You might shiver when the wind blows, and you might get blown away. You might lose a little color, you might lose a little faith. We are each other's angels, and we meet when it is time. We keep each other going, and we show each other signs. So thank you for the water. Thought I was gonna die out here in the desert, but you quenched my thirst. Let's break a little bread together. Got a little manna, and it was a gift from someone who was passing by and offered me a lift. We are each other's angels, and we meet when it is time. We keep each other going, and we show each other signs.
Good night, and thank you for tuning in.
Mighty fine, Mr. Brodsky, mighty fine. Wow, what a remarkable writer. To say something about his tailoring, but his writing is excellent. Here we go. When the song rises up, white horses will fill the mountains. When the song rises up, then the clouds roll away. Well, sisters, ain't you glad to feel like fear fading? Brothers, ain't you glad there's gonna be a better day? People, ain't you glad that we're all in this together? People, ain't you glad the clouds gonna roll away? When the song rises up, white horses fill the mountains. When the song rises up, then the clouds roll away. Clouds roll away. The clouds, they roll away. Now, excuse me. You have joined us before. You know that we're still conducting our worldwide, one more time, worldwide Between the Cushions contest. We want to know what you found between the cushions of your couch. Please drop us a line and drop it to Between the Cushions, White Horse, Black Mountain, P.O. Box 456, Black Mountain, North Carolina 28711. A weekly winner will be announced here on White Horse Live. A botanical grand prize will be awarded as soon as we can find somebody not allergic to poison ivy to go out and dig it up. So let us hear from you and your couch. This week's winner is P.N. Bikini from Warmer Water, North Carolina. P.N. says that while reaching between the cushions, he found all the vitamin pills his kids were supposed to have taken, and 2 extremely healthy, rosy-cheeked roaches doing push-ups on the cushion tag. Thank you for joining us this evening. Stay safe, Stay well, stay happy, and remember, a person without a mask is like a guitar player without a G string. It's very embarrassing, to say the least. Thanks again. Night now.
Thanks for joining us for White Horse Live with tonight's guest, Chuck Brodsky. This program is produced by White Horse Black Mountain and by Rad House Studio. Bob Hinkle is your host and executive producer. Claire Hoke is audio engineer. Jessica Wharton is director of photography. Michael Stevens is network engineer. Jessica Fox is key grip. Public relations services provided by Maggie Rainwater at Hoosier Devil. I'm Rebecca Hillgraves, director and producer for these programs. Join us next Friday night at 8 p.m. when we're joined by Anya Hinkle with Mary Lucy, right here on White Horse Live. In the meantime, be good to each other, and that includes all people.